is Wednesday, the 8th of July 2020, and it's been a long time since my last vlog. I think it's been well over 2 months. A lot's been happening since then. First of all, what we want to do is, let me just put the volume down now. First of all, what we're going to do is we want to discuss 7, the bombings that happened 15 years ago. I can't believe it's been 15 years. Time has gone so fast. I've got friends who have lost family members in those attacks on the trains, and for them, if someone was to say it's been 15 years, they would say, oh, you know, we've been counting every day. But yeah, so we need to remember all the lost ones in those terrorist attacks, and not only those terrorist attacks in London, but all terrorist attacks worldwide. So 15 years have gone past, and things have not got any better than they were back then. Acha, COVID-19. As you guys are aware, the whole world has been hit with this pandemic. Everyone was in lockdown. I myself was in lockdown just under 4 months. And the UK government has decided all of a sudden, without any vaccine, to open up businesses, pubs. They're not going to open up the gyms, but the pubs, and everything's back to normal. I mean, last weekend there was over 1 million people on the beaches, and the amount of rubbish they left, the amount of stabbings that happened. And if you look around the UK now, we'll get to the rest of the world in a while. Let's get the UK over and done with. Now, what's happened is, in the UK, the death toll has started rising again, and because it's rising, Leicester is in lockdown. They're considering Bedford, Milton Keynes, obviously Bedfordshire, Hounslow, and a lot of places in London that might actually go back into lockdown depending on the death tolls. Now, the government's attitude is, which I don't understand, is that if you go back 3 months ago, I mean 3-4 months ago, even go back to even my vlogs, there was a lot of scaremongering going on. They had scared the public so much that, look at the conditions they put on, that the elderly needs to be locked up in a room. They can't meet the kids. You can't have people coming and going. You can't have your family visiting anyone, or anyone visiting you. You can't go to funerals. The mosques were closed. You couldn't do anything. Shops, you know, you were only allowed out to do essential shopping and stuff like that. Now, from there to all of a sudden, oh, yep, beaches are open, everything's fine, without a vaccine, just doesn't register with my brain. I mean, there's no vaccine, so why have you opened? So the conclusion is that these guys are now thinking about the economy rather than the human life. The economy means more to them, so what they were trying to do was they were trying to set up everything, let everything open. They were considering opening up the flights and stuff, so people can travel. It's all so they can capitalize on the summer that's coming in, because that's where a lot of income is going to come in. People that have been locked out are going mad anyway. I mean, 1 million people on the beaches, and there was no room for anyone to sit, but people were yet still going, even though they could see the water from far away. But they couldn't go close to the water. They couldn't set base anywhere on the sand on the beach because it was full. Now, like I said, they're using us as guinea pigs, and when they decide that we want to get, you know, it's not safe for us, we're not allowed to do anything, you get fined if you're outside, you're not allowed to work, you're not allowed to send the kids to school, and all the other things that I've just mentioned. And now everything's fine. So were we being played? Were we being played from day one? Were they testing like what they can get away with the mass? What can they turn around and get away with? And they did get away with quite a bit because they shut down everything. Nobody's allowed to work. Everybody was locked down. Nobody was allowed to go out. Nobody was allowed to visit their loved ones. Nobody was allowed to attend funerals. Religious places were closed. All places of worship were all locked down. I think personally what they've done is now they know what they can get away with. So the next time when this happens, we're going to have a longer lockdown. We're going to have more deaths, and countries haven't even developed a vaccine for it, but they're already blackmailing each other. America's already declared that if their scientists actually come out with this vaccine, they will only give it to their allies or people that will agree with their way of life or their way of thinking. So anyone that disagrees with America or most of the Western countries will not receive any vaccines. Yeah. America, the death toll has gone over 140,000 and it's still rising. Yeah. And the Trump administration is still going on about it as if they've got it all under control. And not only that, what they've done is they actually sent all their warships to bloody the China Sea, South China Sea now, because India and China have got a big dispute going on and some tension building at their border in Ladakh, which is an area that is close to Kashmir. So India is not now only in dispute with Pakistan, they are in dispute with China, they're in dispute with Nepal, they are in dispute with Bangladesh, they've got Sri Lanka's got some disputes with them as well. So there's a lot of tension going on. And obviously Pakistan and India have never been the best of friends. Prime Minister Imran Khan has tried, many other prime ministers have tried before that, to try to ease the tension between the two nuclear armed states. But for some reason, whether it's third parties jumping in and not allowing them to sit together, things have just got worse and worse. Now what's happened is China is basically, let's go into this a little while, because I've been following it for a while and it's the only thing that's covering all the news basically. What's happened is India and China, they fought a war back in the days, yeah, and this place was disputed. It's as part of Jammu Kashmir, yeah. And what's happened is a little part of it's in India, a little parts of it is towards Pakistan, and a little part of it was towards China. Now what's happened is India has started building and then started dictating terms and conditions and saying no, this is because China is we know China is a new superpower, yeah? There's no disputing that. Now what's happened is, but China does not drum up and show off. It doesn't talk, it just does what it got to do, yeah? And China's main initiative is to unite all the countries, and it's even offered it to Europe and America and everyone to come in, join. Let's turn around, build bridges and unite, and we can trade together, things will be easier. But America will then lose one of its biggest weapons, which is blackmail, sanctions. So so America's been against it, Israel's been against it, China was okay with it, but now what's happened is China's gone into its territory and it's started setting up its posts, put all its bloody missile systems there, all the top-notch technology, warfare technology is all set up there now. China is not leaving, so we have to accept China will stay where it is now. Yeah. Now what's happened is China's given India some alternatives. Listen, basically, just agree to this where we are. Let's move back. Tell America to sod off from here, and basically just build your relationship with all your neighbors, because the neighbors are here. America is 7,000-8,000 miles away. Yeah, so they're not going to be no good. They're just going to be steering up trouble, and they're not going to be there when the going gets tough. Now, what China was doing, India was doing was, India was buying time, trying to negotiate with Russia, trying to buy some warplanes, going back to America, Australia, and tried its luck with a few other countries like the European countries. Now, a lot of them have jumped onto the bandwagon of India due to the American pressure, but none of them will actually be in the front line. So they're all pushing China and saying, yeah, go ahead and do this, and we're here for you, we've got your back, we've got your back. Now, the reality is America has no one's back. America has broken peace treaties with Russia, with China, and other superpowers of the world. America has, never kept its promises. It's gone into Afghanistan and Iraq on its own will, and then set back itself, and then got NATO troops to go fight the war. So all the European countries are losing their soldiers, while America, who started the war, has just done a peace treaty. So basically, we don't know where we stand. Taliban were the biggest terrorists around the world during 9/11 times, yeah? That's why the Americans attacked Afghanistan, yeah? So these guys were anti all religions, they were extremist Muslims, and these guys are doing everything, anything that happened around the world would be blamed on the Taliban, yeah? And now from there to you sitting around the table, doing a peace treaty with them, and then asking them now that, oh, could we keep a few thousand of our troops in your bases? We'll give you money, you can spend the money where you need to, we won't even bother asking you what you've done with the money. And the Taliban are not having it, because China has built, it's had one policy, and the policy is to unite all the countries, yeah, to trade and to help each other. Now what's happened is China has done CPAC in Pakistan, in Balochistan province, where Gwadar, the port and all that. If you Google or YouTube the port, you'll know what is it all about, if you know what I mean. So basically what's happened is they've got the deepest port there, and trust me, that's going to be the new Dubai. If you guys haven't invested in Gwadar, I would look into it and try to invest, because trust me, that's going to be a gold mine in the future. Now what's happened is India's always tried to, basically stop the progress of the Gwadar port, because they've invested in a port near Iran. Now Iran has agreed that we will join China, and they've actually signed a new agreement with China, so China can start developing roads into their system now. So basically everyone's working together. Russia's in it, everyone. Now Sri Lanka was always a very close ally of India. A lot of people have said that they had a puppet regime of the Indians. Whatever India said goes. It was just a name of a country, but it was run by the Indians. Now what's happened is India has, during this pandemic, all the countries are falling into arrears with their loan payments and stuff like that. So what Sri Lanka done was they asked India that if they can ease and hold the payments for a little while until the country gets back onto his feet, because everyone's struggling. And India rejected it and said, no, you have to pay, because we are also hit by this pandemic, so we need our money. So what's happened there is China stepped in and goes to Sri Lanka that we'll give you a loan, and we'll go by the conditions that you've asked for, where if you need easement, we'll give you easement. We won't pressure you to pay back. You can pay back in small installments, and we can trade. And then on top of that, what China's done is they brought Bangladesh into the equation, and Nepal, which is already in dispute with India, because they also own a little of the land of that Jammu Kashmir section. It's basically, it's the heart of the world, and it's been split into a couple of areas, yeah? India's got some, China's now taken over its part, and then Pakistan's got a share, yeah? Nepal also has a holding in that. Now India's been running that as well. So what's happened is Nepal, Tibet, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka has been offered something from China that no one could ever reject, and that is that all your imports and exports, there's no tax on it. It's going to be tax-free. So those guys have obviously jumped ship, and they're all with China. So now on the Chinese side, yeah, even though the Indian media is not agreeing to any of this, yeah, it just doesn't make sense. So we're going to get into that in a while. Now basically what's happened is the Chinese have got Pakistan with them. They've got Pakistan with them. They've got Iran's with them now, because obviously Iran's just done an agreement with them. Because the reason Iran has moved away from India is because, number one, there were there's a lot of people bashing Iran in Pakistan and this. Guys, you need to understand, these raw agents that they've caught in Pakistan, yeah, the Indian raw agents, they were all caught because of the intelligence the Iranians gave to the Pakistanis. So if the Iranians didn't give the intelligence to the Pakistanis, these guys could have turned around and carried on doing their bits and bobs. And Bajjan, or whatever his name is, he's turned around and accepted that, he's done so many terrorist attacks, funding so many political parties in Pakistan that are based in the UK and getting all their dirty work done just to stop the CPAC. Now, Iran's found out all this information, passed it over to the Pakistanis, and the Pakistanis have got him. And catching an intelligence agent from another country, an enemy state, is a big thing. I mean, you get war prisoners and stuff like that, but catching a raw agent is the top thing you can do. It's like grabbing one of your generals or something. It's on that level. Now, so we need to stop bashing Iran on that, because we need to unite to keep everyone intact together. Yeah. So you have to understand, Iran's had, where Pakistan's broken treaties with them under pressure from America, where they had the India, Pakistan, and Iran pipeline. Pakistan signed to agree for it, and then Americans put pressure on them, and they dropped out. So because of that, Iran had no choice but to deal with Iran, because India, because India was buying a lot of oil and stuff from Iran. So India then invested in the Chandar bloody seaport, yeah. So for Iran to leave China and go onto the China-Pakistani side, it's a big thing. So guys, we need to turn around and be careful with what we say and what we do, because all we're going to do is we need to unite and get a front now, because remember, you're up against India, America, all the European countries, and then you've got Israel, which is the brain behind all this. Israel's been teaching India ways of how to control Srinagar, which is the Indian occupied Kashmir, just like they've been doing in Gaza, in Palestine. So we need to be careful. Now what's happened is, America turned around and sent its warships there. Now the reality is, America is not in a position to have a war. All its allies are just tagging along because they're being blackmailed. But the elections are coming, so Trump needs a war to stay in power. And the reality is, the chances are that no matter what the media says, Trump has got a chance, because he's got a huge following there. And those guys that are behind, who control everything, they want someone like Trump there, because they can push their agenda. Remember, with the Bush family, they turned around and pushed the agenda, and then really fast, because they invaded so many countries, and then Obama had to slow it down so it doesn't look too obvious, if you know what I mean. So now they've got Trump back in there, and Trump is pushing. Now Trump's put them back onto their mode, because they had to slow down because of a few things that had happened around the world. Now Trump has sent his warships to China, and China turned around and just goes, listen mate, you're a paper tiger, bring it on. We're not going to move back from our positions, and you're in our territory, yeah? And when you come into our territory, you're going to know who's boss around here. And the reality is, China is the new superpower, okay? Now what's happened is, in between all this, yeah, they're pushing China to go ahead, yeah, go and do it, we're with you. Now China's thinking, what the hell, wait a second, right next door to us in Afghanistan, they fought such a long war, and they lost less, the Americans lost less soldiers than the NATO forces. NATO forces had lost more people, more soldiers, yeah? Then they went into Iraq, same thing happened there. America's turned around and getting all the bloody oil and getting all the profits, while NATO is losing their lives, and NATO has to pay for its own protection. Yeah? So basically, Trump is a big bully, and he's bullying, and North Korea's told them to basically get lost. We're not going to be sitting with you, and we're going to get nukes now, because the only way, and I think Iran's got no option now as well. Iran needs to turn around and change its thinking and say, all right, we're going to have to get a nuclear weapons just to keep these guys away from us, because now recently in the last few days there's some news going around where the Iranians nuclear sites and stuff like that, they've had explosions. Yeah, obviously the Iranians are going to stay quiet until they confirm, and then they will retaliate if they have. And the news is going around that Israel's done it. Israel and America have attacked the nuclear facilities to set them back. Yeah, they've actually even damaged some river as well, where there's a lot of flooding and stuff like that. And the Iranians are quiet at the moment, but it's a guarantee that Iranians, should this be proven that it was Israel or America and it was an attack, then Iran will retaliate. Iran's the only state in the whole world that's actually officially told America they're going to attack them, and then they did attack their bases in Iraq, and America couldn't do nothing about it. So we need to give the prompts up to them where it's due. Now obviously they've got Hezbollah, they've got Hamas, they've united together. They said, look, the resistance front is not going to stop no matter what these guys do, because remember, it's not only about Iran or anyone else or nuclear. It's about protecting Israel, number one, stopping the resistance and stopping the CPAC, because if that CPAC continues, then all these countries will go with China, and China will be declared the new superpower. And in South Asia, it's actually is already the superpower. Yeah, Russia's along with it. Yeah, so basically there's a lot of stuff going on, guys. My videos are getting long, and I've got so much to catch up with. But yeah, so guys, we're in a really bad time. I think 2020 has been a bad year. There's been so many deaths. Now we just opened the office, so now I still need to go and pay my respects to a lot of people that have lost loved ones during this pandemic. We couldn't even go to funerals, we couldn't go and visit and condole them or anything. So basically, I just hope everybody just still sticks to, just treat it like it was the beginning. Until the vaccine comes out, we need to still wear our masks. We still need to turn around, wash our hands and wear gloves, and the 2-meter distancing. Now they've even brought it down to 1 meter. Don't fall for that, guys, because the reality is, when it's time to go, when you're going to go, it's going to be a number. Do you understand me? And a lot of time they play with figures of the death tolls that your number won't even be counted. So don't take a risk, guys. Stay safe. You don't need to send your kids to school if you're not happy or sure about their safety. And the reality is, schools are open for another 2 weeks. What are those kids going to learn in those 2 weeks? Yeah, I personally think that it'll be a negative part of from us to send our kids to bubble classes where they can't mingle with their friends because they'll be in a bubble of 4 kids. They can't turn around and get out of that bubble. Basically, they have to stay together, and it's unclear who chooses the group of children that your kid's going to be in with. So I personally, and then you've got the arrows and stuff. It's like prison services, man. So I would basically advise for you to keep your kids home. You're not going to get fined. And if the school does turn around and ask you, insist that, yeah, you need to send your kids in, you ask them to give you a guarantee in writing that your kids are safe. They can't do that because there's no vaccine. Even the teachers are complaining about it. I think September's even too soon, but September's more realistic than opening up the schools in July. It's stupid. It doesn't make sense. So guys, just stick together, know your rights, know your rules, and stay safe. So now what we're going to start doing is I'm going to start mixing it up a little. We're going to start getting out of the office and me sitting down and just talking for 15-20 minutes, sometimes 25 minutes. We're going to start going out and about, visiting businesses that have been affected by the pandemics. We'll be doing food reviews. We'll be going and visiting Asian areas with the well-known restaurants and shopping places. So what we'll do is we'll be moving from one town to another. We're going to start off from London ends, and we're going to go as far as possible, all the way to Scotland, Glasgow if we have to, just to entertain you guys. So guys, keep subscribing. Thank you very much for all your messages, your comments, and keep supporting us, guys. So speak to you soon. Allah Hafiz.